Wahid and Trading212 are two popular investing apps for Muslims. I tried both for a year and wish I knew these 5 differences before choosing where to invest, with the last one going to the absolute core of what it means to be a Muslim. But before that, I'm starting with the most obvious comparison, which is supporting a Muslim-owned business. Now, this is usually the first justification for many Muslims, but let's take a step back here. What do you mean by investing in a Muslim-owned business? So, let's start with the non-Muslim business, Trading212. When you're investing in the app, you're buying shares of Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Tesla, and that's essentially what an investing platform is. You don't care about Trading212. You care that it lets you buy other company stocks. Now, the ones I just mentioned are considered Sharia compliant according to AUFI, the main Islamic finance standard setting body in the industry. And of course, some of you may be saying, but I don't agree that they're fully Sharia compliant and that some of the business involvements are questionable. Well, that's okay. You have a choice of not investing in them, and you can select your own companies that you, as a Muslim, are comfortable with. Now, moving on to Wahid, and you may think, okay, I'm going to use this investing platform and they'll choose Muslim-owned companies which aren't going to be questionable, but let's look at what they're investing your money into. These are some of the top companies in the funds that Wahid offers, and you can see when you give your money to Wahid, it's not Muslim-owned businesses. You're using Wahid to invest in the same companies that you would on Trading212, which some of you, again, may be uncomfortable with. Except on Wahid, you have no choice of opting out. Wahid chooses where your money goes, and I know there are Muslims that have issues with some of the companies, so it's important to know what you mean by supporting a Muslim-owned business. Wahid and Trading212 are investing platforms which are used in the same manner for the same outputs. So to me, if I had to choose which one is better for Muslims on this criteria, I wouldn't pick any because the end result is the same. But let's have a look at costs and where your money is going. Maybe this is an area where you might be supporting a Muslim business. So that first point was an important comparison to start with, because when people start to look at businesses, it's important to know what they're really considering, and it's the same with costs. In the section, I can understand as a Muslim investor, you're not only caring where your money goes, but also the value it gives. And this time, let's start with Wahid. Now, Wahid very clearly lists out its fees on its website. That's always a good start. When it comes to fees on investing platforms, there's some which are in the provider's control and some which aren't. And for Wahid, the only one which are in its controls are the annual Wahid fees, which is listed as 1%. And this is what should be compared, 1%. That's a very small number, right? Actually, it's massive. And just to pause for a second, when I'm comparing, I'm trying to be as fair as possible. I'm comparing the same product and pricing style to give you an understanding of what the standard platform fees are for similar products. Here's an example of where you can see other top providers which are charging less than half of Wahid's costs. And these small numbers are very important. You see, investing is for the long term. Your capital can go up as well as down. And to benefit from investing, a long-term commitment is required. And during that long investing period, these fees companies charge will eat away at your hard-earned money very slowly, and you won't even notice it till it's too late. But let me also make a point here and say, if you're about to or have started your investing journey, then congrats, because a lot of people are hesitant to even begin. And unfortunately, another barrier which Wahid adds to this hesitation is the high minimum deposit amount for investments, which is at £50. This can be a lot for those new to investing, especially when we start reviewing Trading212. Now here, you can begin with depositing just a couple of pounds, so that hesitation is a lot less. And if you want to do more, you don't have to do at £50 intervals. You can add a few more pounds whenever you feel like. So that is a massive plus when it comes to costs. But it goes further than that because we haven't even looked at the fees of Trading212. So this might shock you, but the only fees Trading212 controls and charges you, at least in their ISA, is a simple FX fee of 0.15%. This is a big difference when compared to Wahid. And when you combine this part with the first section, which is both platforms end up performing the same task, but one now is much cheaper, that sums up at this point on costs. One of my criticisms of Wahid has always been on its high fees, and I knew Trading212 would come out on top here. In fact, pretty much any other investing platform would come out on top when it comes to costs. You definitely don't want your investments being eaten away by management fees. But when it comes to your investments, there's something which Trading 212 doesn't help you with because it doesn't care about you being a Muslim, and that's zakat. So zakat is mandatory on your investments. However, the calculation isn't straightforward. Usually in zakat, it's a simple 2.5% of the assets value. However, on investments, it's actually 2.5% on roughly 33% of the value of the stocks. The reason for this are a bit long, but to explain in around 2 sentences, zakat is only payable on assets, and the value of a stock is comprised of both assets and liabilities. Hence, scholars have determined 33% to be an adequate value to calculate assets off. And Wahid performs a zakat calculation for you every year, and they usually do it just before Ramadan. And this feature of theirs is really good. And when it comes to supporting a Muslim-owned business, this is what it ideally means: helping you, the consumer, become a better Muslim and incorporating Islamic ethics in their own business model. It is, of course, possible to self-calculate zakat on Trading 212, but I suspect having your zakat figure proactively given to you every year is a very handy feature for a lot of Muslims. And because of this, it definitely gets given the points in this criteria. And that communication between you and the investing platform nicely leads on to the next point, which is customer support. So Muslim or non-Muslim, I want customer support to be top-notch, especially when my money is involved. Muslims shouldn't put up with below-par performances just because a product is Muslim-owned. In my opinion, it's not a good enough excuse. Granted, if it was a new Muslim-owned business, and just like any new business, it's expected to have a lot of teething issues that they'll be working through, which is fine. But Wahid is not a small company. It's had tens of millions of dollars in funding from large investment firms, so that excuse can't be made for them. And the customer reviews are clear which one is better. If you take a look at the reviews of Trading 212 and Wahid side by side, there's no comparison. And when it comes to using investing platforms, it's not like I buy something from them and I don't need to interact with them ever again. The product I'm buying is them looking after my money, and so I need them to maintain great communication with me. And that has not been the opinion of a lot of people. Trading 212 is miles ahead here, and I'd gladly give them my money if it meant that they'll be the ones responding quickly to any questions I have. But I also want to be fair here. Going back to the ratings, you can see there's a big difference in the number of customers who've actually given their opinions. But nevertheless, having 77% at 5-star means from over 37,000 reviews is amazing and a clear trend. So there's no competition here. Customer support on Trading 212 gets a point here. I will be making a full guide on how you can create a Sharia compliant portfolio on Trading 212, or simply just copy mine. So do make sure you subscribe to catch that video. And just as much as you'd have questions when deciding if you want to use Trading 212 on the portfolio construction or the app, you will have some questions about what really is Islamic investing. Why is this not allowed in Islam? Or who decides if a company is Sharia compliant? This is covered in the next part, which is all about Islamic knowledge. Everything we do as Muslims, we should strive to make sure it's within the boundaries of Islam. So that's why knowledge is so important. Trading 212, of course, doesn't give you anything in this regard. And so it's clear from the get-go who will get the point here. But I do want to emphasize the good work that Wahid does in this manner. As a Muslim and a Muslim investor, you should try and seek out the answers yourself as much as possible. This has been narrated in several hadiths, and the benefits in having this attitude are also clear in the scriptures. So that's the first step. You should attempt to find the answers yourself. But equally, hadiths have referenced the importance of those with knowledge, with the primary lesson being those that are in a position should share that knowledge. And this is what's been great about Wahid. Wahid firstly creates an ecosystem where it stops you selecting non-Sharia compliant products such as futures and options, which you can buy on Trading 212. Secondly, as per current Islamic finance standards, Wahid only provides you with Sharia compliant stocks. And by Wahid limiting the options, it means you won't mistakenly select a non-Sharia compliant company or a product. And lastly, the team at Wahid, I've personally seen, they actively promote Islamic finance knowledge from online presentations to in-person events across the country. And this is where Wahid excels. In these events, you can ask industry leaders, why is zakat on stocks not calculated on the full amount? Or is car leasing allowed in Islam if it's 0% interest? So with that section, overall, the scores, well, they're even. And depending on what you value more or how advanced you are in your own investing journey, you'll choose one over the other. If you do want to learn more about how different rules are made in Islam, then I've already made a video which I'll leave next to me. So go check that out, and I'll see you all in the next video.